In that video, you're visibly upset. I mean, why? What makes you so upset?
Well, it's just waste. I mean, here's a 2000 Mazda MPV that had a good 5 years of service life left, and we've destroyed a perfectly good asset, like Peter Schiff was saying. We've taken something that is useful, and now it's, if you look at the video, they've damaged it so much, it's not even good for parts. I mean, the doors have been ruined, the fenders are banged up.
And it's upsetting for you.
And underneath, they've bent all the components that might be salvageable with the forklift. It's like a trash can. And there are families that could have used that vehicle. I mean, it's not a clunker. Look at the thing. It looked like brand new. There's nothing clunker about it.
Now, I did a story on Cash for Clunkers, and I actually have footage of them pouring the chemical agents into the motors, destroying, looks like brand new Volvos and absolutely fantastic cars. Americans didn't stand up then. What's the difference between then and now? I mean, how much more can Americans take of this waste?
Well, I think that the story has kind of been swept under the rug by now, and I just want to point out the aftermath and just show the lines of cars. The engines have all been destroyed. They're painted with the orange paint, so we can count them. And we can look at the vehicles and go, what is green about this? How did this help? It's like dumping a cup of gasoline on a fire and going, wow, look at how warm it is in the room. And then 20 minutes later, the whole fire's gone. We don't even have a small fire anymore. We're not selling any cars right now. So it's this big bubble.
Tell me about the Westfalia.
Well, that's when I really got upset when I was...
Because that's what your whole YouTube channel's about.
Well, that's what I used to make videos about, you know, bug-out vehicles and survival, and at the time, the Westfalia was a big part of the channel, and that first video had like almost 4,000 views. So a lot of people were watching it and getting... But the point, when I saw the Westfalia as part of Cash for Clunkers, I'm like, this is like a 1985 Westfalia. It went to the dealership, so it's a running driving asset, which minimum was worth $3,500 bucks. Maximum $12,000 in restored condition on eBay. Go to eBay, and these older Westphalias, they go with a blown engine, go for $2,000. This thing's not worth $2,000 anymore. It's been destroyed, and they don't make them anymore. It was already made, so all the CO2, all the carbon for producing it back in Germany, it's already been taken care of. So it's not causing a lot. It's a camper van. It's not being driven every day, probably. It's not causing greenhouse gases.
It's almost a collector type car.
Well, it is exactly a collector type vehicle. It's like taking a 65 Mustang convertible that someone drives 6-10 times a year, crushing it in the name of some green program. Ron's books on CD, he mentions about, you know, recycling and producing and doing something positive, like taking a wagon that's broken when you're a kid, fixing it up, painting it, mending the wheel, whatever it needs, and then reselling the wagon for $22 or whatever and making a profit. As a kid, it's a way to, you know, fix things and generate income, which is, you know, I guess I was a recycler long before being a recycler was cool. I've always been a recycler. I took bicycles out of the trash when I was a kid, rebuilt them, either gave them away or traded them or sold them. So the whole recycling thing, you know, I'm all for it. But not at the expense of taking a perfectly good wagon and tearing all the wheels off it and putting it in a junkyard and saying, oh yeah, this is green. It's not green at all. There's nothing green about the program. It's the opposite.
Nope. Okay, we're rolling.
Right now?
Yeah. So let's just kind of look at this car here.
You can get a shot in there.
Is that a clunker though?
That's where they're crushing some of the cars. On this car?
Yeah. Point to the orange.
Well, yeah, that's what the orange paint means. I mean, I would say half the engines in this junkyard have this orange spray paint, and they were for see the windshield, C4C. This was traded into Lexus of Thousand Oaks. So this was a running and driving engine that they purposely disabled. They ran a chemical through it and blew it up. So all these engines with the orange in this lot, and there's hundreds of them. We can see it. This was a running and driving Mitsubishi Montero. You can see the orange spray paint on the engine. They've purposely blown it up, disabled the vehicle. This was not a bad vehicle a few weeks ago.
Right here too.
Oh yeah, every other car has got this orange paint on the engine. I mean, it's like a graveyard of senseless death of good running motors. They're assets. You could have taken them off the road and maybe saved the motors. I mean, what? The whole thing is just bizarre. It's not recycling. It's not green. You know? Here's a 4Runner.
Let's just run through all these real quick.
This was a Lexus. This was a 4Runner. It's a Nissan Quest van. See all the orange dye. I would say, you know, I didn't realize how many vehicles were cashed for clunkers in this lot. It seems like almost all of them when we walk around. How many vehicles did you say the program disabled in California?
Almost 200,000.
200,000 vehicles were purposely...
Throughout the nation.
This is a 96 Land Cruiser that came in about 4 o'clock yesterday. I watched them do all this body damage when they dropped it off. This was a pretty nice vehicle. And, it was traded in.
Let's look inside.
Yeah, you know, it still was useful. It was a 4-wheel drive, leather interior, fully loaded sunroof, alloy wheels. I mean, look at, even the tires are great. I mean...
They go for the rims first, huh?
Yeah, first thing they do is...
Look at all this damage by the forklift here.
Yeah, yeah, the other side's even worse.
And then they just ripped into this front part.
Yeah, so there are, you know, someone's benefiting. Yeah, they got the 4-wheel drive parts and the steering. Yeah. This is what I witnessed yesterday, is they're dropping this thing off. I saw it and it was perfect. After they get it here, all this damage was done.